you said, Parker, that often when you see a rematch happen, the team who lost the first time, they tend to win the second time. So Soniqs won 8-7 last time. What does that mean for DarkZero? Just take it?
I'm doing your math right now. In my defense, I'm no mathologist.
Okay, do the math.
But the numbers are... The math is mathing right now to show me that DarkZero will prevail based on your logic and the numbers you provided.
So the numbers don't lie. And with that, we can just conclude right here. DarkZero take map number 3. Thank you all for watching. These upper bands completely pointless. It doesn't matter because stats do not lie. Unless sometimes perhaps they do. You know, typically we say that when a team picks their map, so map 1 for example, was border picked by Soniqs, DarkZero won it. That's not supposed to happen. Then DarkZero they pick Consulate, and Soniqs they win it. That's not supposed to happen either. So I feel like if we look at the numbers, today nothing makes sense. So I don't think we should expect DarkZero to just take it because of the rematch. I think this is going to be a great barn burner of a third map. And because it's a rematch, both teams have direct experience with one another. So the previous map of Consulate came down to preparation, right? To learn the map from fresh with an undeveloped meta. Nighthaven also being a new map, same story applies. You gotta come in with the prep work. But also, you gotta keep in mind the info that you have from that direct one-to-one experience from the previous matchup and say, okay, what did they do in this round that we can abuse? Are there any small gaps that we see? And just try and keep in mind that you're playing these rounds. Oh, this seems familiar. Oh, we started that earlier. That's right. Because it's not every day that you have direct information from just a few play days ago on the exact same map that you find yourself in the third and final map of Best 3.
The only thing I'll want to comment on about what you said is you said they will have to learn from fresh, which is odd. What does the analyst from EUL have to do with these teams figuring out Nighthaven?
He's probably watching this right now, co-streaming, and if he is, then hello, Fresh. And if not, then there is both the endless Fresh, and there is a fresh look at a map, or a fresh wind hitting your face when you're outdoors.
Isn't that a food company as well, like a HelloFresh?
There's also
HelloFresh. Rainbow Six. Yes.
They provide food for the gamers who can't cook.
Today,
that's what.
I had to endure the torment of Fabian on EUL on Monday, just as Gavin has to endure the torment of Citizen. That is a debilitating first loss. And immediately, Soniqs go to an advantage in the first 30 seconds.
Now the question is, can they just keep up the lead? I mean, we know Soniqs in the previous 2 matches, or maps rather, once they get that lead, they don't speed up. They just kind of keep that same pace, keep the numbers tight, and try and play for the trade game. Laxton spoke on that desk as well. The trade's heavily favoring Soniqs so far, where DC relying a bit more on individual heroics. And Soniqs with a great pace right now, breaching walls, clearing shields, getting killed, doing damage to the Canadian. I mean, they're doing an excellent work right now. It looks easy for them.
So clinical. Soniqs are a 5-man broom, sweeping the DZ players into the bin at the moment. Good news for DarkZero, you've got your star player that's been highlighted by the desk multiple times, who had a bit of a rough game on Consulate, but you don't expect Pambazoo to have 2 bad games in a row, and he's got the only pick for DarkZero so far. Canadian will need to save the round as Pambazoo is eventually felled by Rexon. Look at the pace that you said SQ was setting. There's still half of the round to go, and only a single kill for Soniqs to find. There goes the boogie, making a ton of noise. Canadian might not see it, but he certainly hears it. Then he gets droned out by Citizen as he's buried inside of the site. Soniqs with a quick one to take round number 1.
So I guess above these 2 teams, one thing that will kind of carry over from Consulate is that both Consulate and Nighthaven labs are relatively large in size. That triple floor, soft destruction, etc. Some bomb sets where you gotta get very active and around the map as a defender, and some bomb sets where you gotta bunker down and hold down the fort. So it's gonna play out in a similar fashion, and what that means is the open and kill pretty important in these rounds. When you're dealing with a big map, the more players you have alive just means you can hold on to more map cover. You can hold on to more areas, have more guns facing the same direction, so that when the enemy attacks you, you have a higher chance of coming out on top in those gunfights. Seeing Gavin fall really early in that round is not, doesn't bode for the best start for DarkZero. I just need to rein it in real quick, play a little bit closer together, The desk spoke very early on before the first map that Gavin's survival rate was kind of in the basement compared to the rest of DarkZero. And that might be a rehost, as Grixer has left the server.
5 seconds left.
Just will get a bit down over, be like, come on, you know, we won the round, we want to go, let's move, momentum, all that stuff. Are we feeling it? Now DC get breathing room. But we're back. After hydrating, dancing, rapping, singing, and hanging out together, we are back in the server. And the first round started in kitchen. Bit of a slaughter. Soniqs just ran over DarkZero. And then DarkZero, they said, you know what, we feel like we're in the basement, might as well go there, pick that as next bomb site. Use those mirror windows, and again, a very similar approach to what we saw on Consulate. Utility, vertical C4s, 3 of those to be exact. And this time also NTR on the bandit duty, gonna be triggering those walls and making life a little bit more miserable for the likes of Geo and the Thermite, who has to now battle the bandit together with Grixer and Thatcher.
I got a message from Jesse as we get our second round underway, as XO bomb site down below being the scene for DZ's second defense. Jesse J. Tick messaged me amidst the break while Laxing was informing us, and he said, I have had 4 cups of coffee today and 0 glasses of water.
Oh, no.
I think that's how you get a heart attack. But I'm no heartiologist, so who knows? But Jesse, please, for the love of God, drink some water. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our improv skit that Nick and I just did for the last 5, 7, 10 minutes, etc. We've still got a whole other best of 3 to go. These teams tied at 1 apiece. The winner goes to Atlanta. The loser goes down into the lower bracket finals, where they still have a 50-50 shot of making it to the major. 4 teams remain. 3 of them will qualify. The loser of this match will await the loser of our next match, which is Wildcard versus M80. What a story it's been for both of those teams. Will it be DZ? Will it be Soniqs? We'll find out. The second round, going in favor of Soniqs fairly early on. Canadian, the first casualty. That's the only bit of action that we've seen so far on the board.
Yeah, the early kill is really one-sided right now. The tail of Constant now came beginning of Nighthaven Labs as well, but a C4 will trade things back, and this is where the Ram is more safe than the Buck because of the safety from doing verticality. Gunner pays the price, but the breach does get opened up, so I guess you trade a kill for side objective, but it doesn't get any easier if the attack inside. Those mirror windows are still upright. They gotta get destroyed from above, otherwise there's no way in. No smokes in the pocket of Geo, just flashbangs to go. Well, again, no C4s from DC either, so if they can get into a plant position, it's relatively safe. Soniqs got a minute to work with, and they are so good at finding all the gaps and problem solving on Consulate. They gotta do the same thing right now on Nighthaven. Got a long way to go. They only got 45 seconds to do it.
Yeah. Oh. If you're DZ, you hang on at this point. For the most part, you are relatively safe inside of the site. You've got both Rice and Gavin playing close enough together. A good gun could easily take them both out. Pambazoo not too far off as well. You gotta think Pambazoo succeeding is a major key to success, but Soniqs have pulverized him and NJR. Rice and Gavin remaining. Gavin gets the down, looking for the pick, but he turns the wrong way. What a round from Geo. He's got 2 of his teammates up in both Rexon and Citizen. Now Rice will need to stop the defuse plant from going down, but Rice is a little bit too late. He gives his position away. That Mira up top will sound like a herd of elephants. It'll prime the remaining 4 players from Soniqs to await the drop. Rice makes it down, and well, he's living a lot longer than you might have thought, but there's a nade tossed by Citizen. Excellently done over towards that exo suit. He blows sky high. 2-0 for SQ, successful at getting the first pick and winning the round on their first 2 attacks.
Geo's had, you know, good rounds and bad rounds and whatnot, and for the majority of this best of 3, he's been on a very passive role in attack, playing, you know, the shield operators, droning, planting, then dying, trying to plant, etc. But he's showing more life this time around, and I think it's because that he's getting to actually do some entering before the plant is going down. When you have to run deep through, you know, deep into the bomb site to get the plant down, not just on the breach itself, you actually get to have some action. Geo picking up 2 kills and a plant. Looking good for him so far. DarkZero, much like Soniqs, if the roles were reversed, you really get to test your mental right now. We saw some frustration on the side of NGR a couple of times in the previous map of Consulate, and also once on Border. And now it's third map, you're down 0-2, and it can only really get, well, it can get better and it can worse from here, to be fair. But the mental side, staying checked, staying cool, calm and collected, not getting too tilted or impacted by some things that might not be going your way, whether it be bad timing, you don't hear somebody flanking you, or you miss some shots or a clutch, etc. You're never out in Rainbow Six Siege, you're always in it. You can go down 0-6 and still somehow be able to come back one round at a time, and that's how you gotta play these. Yeah, it's a best of 3, sure you're playing 3 different maps possibly, but what it really comes down to is one round at a time, right now, right here, and that's it. And you just do that until somebody wins or somebody loses.
I really do wonder if there's a statistic somewhere that we have access to that at very minimum tracks the last couple of years in the amount of 6-0s we've seen, because I mean it'd be a bit foolish to go all the way back to the beginning of the game, because it used to be shorter, it used to be first to 4, and then it would swap sides every other round. Under the current system where you play 6 rounds on one half and then go to 6 rounds on the next, I would love to know across all regions how many times we've had 2 6-0 sides go back to back. That would be a fascinating number, because off the top of my head, I can think of a couple, but not more than, I think, 2 or 3. Again, there's a lot of Rainbow Six to watch, and there are a lot of regions now. What is it, 9 supported regions officially? We'll see. Soniqs gearing up for a 6-0 half themselves, as Gavin has an Abomination Mozzie Pest Launcher and Roni merged together. I think that's a little unfair. He saw the Buck skeleton key and thought he would do the same. Canadian first to die. Soniqs with an early lead for the 3rd time in a row.
That's twice he dies early first, and the Rise just follows Troop right after. What a great shot from Rex, and again, Soniqs are just so good in these.
Oh,
I mean, these are just walking into their crosshairs.
Yeah, this is terrible. DZ showing struggles on defensive Consulate. Those same woes have appeared on Nighthaven. Gavin with a pick, but what comes of it? Nothing. Citizen is there, prepped and ready. SQ tearing through DZ. They're up 3-0.
This might be time for a tactical timeout. I won't lie. It's now our next round for DC. I mean, sure, you can rely on maybe that your attacks are, yeah, there it is. Your attacks are cracked or something like that, but now more than ever, you really just don't want to let this advantage build too high for one team. Try and catch it right now. Get some, couple of defensive rounds. If you're DarkZero right now, realistically aim for a 2-4 side, or be bold and aim for a 3-3. That's a bit bold, right? And just try and match it on attack. The beauty of this map, just like Consulate, we don't really know exactly if it's going to be an attack or defender-sided map overall. It really comes down to the individual teams that play and the operator bands as well. But DC calling the timeout now makes sense. This is the 3rd and final map of this best of 3, so you really don't want to get this, slip too far away from your grasp.
Should DZ lose again, we go back to that major phase 1 match down in the lower bracket, where DarkZero would meet up with either M80 or Wildcard. Now, if you were to look at the opposition and say, which team would they like to meet more? Well, they played M80 on the very first day in the 2nd match of the day, and they got smoked. M80 won 7-2. When DZ played Wildcard, they smoked Wildcard 7-1. Now, obviously, these are best of ones, and there's not a lot that we can extrapolate from a single best of one. They both played on different maps. They both had different operator bands. And DZ playing their first tier 1 game with Rice on that roster versus literally the last game of the group stages against Wildcard shows that there's a very different team at play after they've got all those game day reps in. So you can't really draw too much from it. But if I'm DarkZero, I don't want to get to that point at all, of course. They got a lot of work to do. There really are no good signs through those first 3 rounds for DZ. 3 kills since coming back from the rehost. I think there was only a single kill in the first round as well.
Yeah.
You're averaging just a little bit over 1 kill per round. That is terrible. I mean, it's not like you're going to see 3 flawless rounds in a row. That's very unlikely, but if SQ's only losing a single player, you got a lot of work to do to catch up.
You certainly do, and Panda has been a little bit quiet since Border ended. And it's not that DarkZero's a one-man team, but when they were thriving, winning games in regulation, relative ease, that one was Pambasu rather was fired up, doing God's work in the server, and right now just kind of struggling to find his stride. DarkZero, they keep dying early on defense, and that's not really the biggest issue. The issue is that they die alone. There's no trades happening, so it's just individual players being far off one another. In the previous round, we saw one person down a staircase, and 2 seconds later, a second person walks up that same staircase and dies to the same player of Rexon. It's like, you're just walking up one by one instead of fighting together. We see the roam now, a little bit under pressure here. Half the round still to go, and DarkZero slowly creeping back towards the bomb side, but still fighting there is Canadian, who actually finds DarkZero's first opening kill.
Canadian was the first to die in rounds 2 and 3, so getting on the board this time is good. Canadian plays that weird flex role where sometimes it's more support-oriented and sometimes it's that roam, lurk, late flank role. He's almost always equipped with some kind of intel gathering. The Castle is a familiar operator in the sense that he's got his old reliable in the UMP and he's got the secondary cam to put down, but he's letting the rest of the team gather this information. You've got the default cams potentially still up. You got mirror windows to play off of, goo mines as well, and those dread mines from Rice's Fenrir will all act as information that can be used and abused by DZ.
They don't know he's there. Troy has an angle in here. He's past enemy lines.
He gets the pick. Down goes Gunner. Soniqs had kept a great pace through those first 3 rounds, but now they're in troubling waters. Canadian dies to Citizen. Still very winnable for both squads, but DZ look prepped and ready to greet these remaining players from Soniqs. Unless Grixter can say something about that, engaging with the Mira. An unfavorable angle from the position that he needs to take. He'll go for seconds, but just shrug off a lot of damage, and he doesn't seem to know where it's coming from. Soniqs bogged down in the mud. They're watching their numbers continue to deplete. A kill from Geo, but he's immediately felled by a nitro cell, and then Citizen goes not soon after. DZ finally get on the board, but they've already sacrificed 3 of the 6 rounds in this first half.
They have, and their first round victory came off a small misplay from Soniqs, right? They simply missed drone. They didn't check the Canadian was still lingering about on the primary floor above. They kind of assumed that, oh, surely he fell back because they got that 1 kill. Is what DarkZero tend to do. They play the numbers on the bomb set itself, but no, Canadian, against most logic and reason, chose to stick around. And he gets 2 kills in totaling, and he, of course, buys a lot of time. And this is the thing, if you're Castle and you've put down your castle barricades, your gun is relatively weak, and you put down your secondary utility of the bulletproof camera, you might as well stick around. I mean, he's 40% health. What's he gonna do in the side to make a difference in that round when he could relatively roam, hide in a corner, maybe get a kill, maybe kill some drones, maybe burn some time? I think Troy made the right call and decision in that round, and it's not an easy one to make. It paid off though. DC, they've been trying to play this kind of far off the bomb site style. Now they're playing double deny, bandit and mute, as well as NGR on the smoke. This is a more turtle heavy bomb site situation. It looks like the CCTV defense. The only thing is, it's only the single deployable shield, as well as just the Jaeger with those ADSs. Often when you see teams turtle down, you like, the Fenrir, the Wamai, double shields, etc. But if you want all of that utility plus wall deny, well, you can't have it all. DC here choosing to prioritize wall deny over utility itself to try and play around that hard destruction of Soniqs.
It's a game of preferences at that point, right? And you've got to make some trade-offs.
Absolutely.
I hate to keep bringing up a single player because it is always much deeper than that, but when DZ's success for so much of this stage is relied upon Panbazoo, him being relatively ineffective on defense, but even more glaringly, not the player you wanted on attack on the previous map, that does not bode well for them. A slow start by Panbazoo so far through this match, obviously on defense doesn't exactly set us up for him to also do the same on attack, but you can't be feeling too confident with the way that he's at least roaming and playing so far through these 5 rounds now. Rice is the first casualty here as we just get past the 1 minute mark into this fifth and very fateful round. Soniqs are looking for their fourth round, which would give them an indisputable lead through this first half. That would set them up so well to transition to what comes next.
Bit of a, I mean, you play Rise and Bandit, but he swings the door and just dies very early on, so now you have no Bandit batteries to trick the wall, and you don't have utility. But Pambasu, speaking of the man, he shuts down GU on Monty. That's a valuable 1-for-1 trade, but it's not just that, it's a 2-for-1 favoring the attack.
Oh my. Monty off the board, so it's all guns for Soniqs. Those guns won't have much to deal with. If you look on the left side of your screen, what remains of DZ is not particularly strong. Trying to get into position. 2 gas canisters for NJR. I guess that's a point of salvage, but he gets slaughtered by Rexon. Canadian not dying early. That's got to be a plus. Now he needs to find these players before they find him, and it's Gunner who does the discovery work. 4 rounds through 5. Soniqs just skating towards Atlanta.
They're so close now. They can feel it. And, you know, they were not far off, not even making it here, and had to go through LCQ because their standings, I mean, again, I keep speaking of it, they had to go overtime in 7 maps out of 10 to get here. So close to losing those in OT, yet also so close to winning them at the same time. DarkZero look like they're run out of solutions right now. They're also playing on, I want to say, like 2 different kind of games on their own turf where, yeah, they play that utility game, but then Rise as an individual swings out overly aggressive and arguably like in an unnecessary way. Like EMP goes out in the breach, okay, you don't bandit trigger because a grenade could be coming from below, fair enough, but swinging the garage door shortly after serves what purpose? I always try to break these things into risk assessment, right? Let's say Rise swings the doors bandit and gets a kill onto Gunner. It's a decent value. I say decent because the breach is already opened up, so it's a 5 versus 4 favoring defense, but the hard breacher already did his job, the wall is open. However, if Rise dies, it is terrible for DarkZero. You can't bandit trick the inner walls anymore. That became an issue because garage walls got opened up. You're playing that 4 versus 5 round, and you lose your active utility like a C4 if that's what Rise was playing in that round. So I don't feel like that trade was worth it 1-to-1, especially when DarkZero down in numbers in terms of round count. But that's the thing. Often when teams and players they find themselves down like DC right now 1-4, players will start making these unnecessary plays to try and be the hero, right? All of a sudden, what is actually a 30-70 play, like 30% success rate, 70% failure, you see it as a 50-50 because you need this round to work, you need this play to succeed, and you start assessing things in a bit of a riskier way, which can snowball into your own demise, of course. Soniqs have been playing Monty and Blitz with decent frequency in the first 2 maps. It took us all 6 rounds, but Gio's back on Blitz, baby.
They can see him, he can't see them. Grixer, goodbye. Gavin on the board. And now Gio trying to narrow down the Fenrir. Carrying strips at a Panbazoo. Loses his teammates on the flank as Canadian dies. DarkZero reading into this quick shield play. Having an answer for it. Their guns going right through the defenders and the attackers. But ultimately, it's the defenders who come out ahead. Lots of shots from Soniqs, missed potential. Their last 2 players, a Gunner and Citizen, on very low HP. One at half, the other below. Half of the round still to go. DZ have taken their lumps too, don't get me wrong. But right now, you're doubled up on the attackers' numbers. They're the ones who have to retrieve the diffuser and bring it to you or go for kills. It'll be a lot harder now as it's Citizen against the world. He can see the bomb site. He does not have the diffuser. He doesn't have any information as to where these defenders are either, so all he can do is play for picks above. An impressive 5-1 from Citizen up to this point. Doing so on attack. He can pad those numbers, but they'll be in vain unless he can get 2 to 3 quick picks as the timer just continues to work against him. These players from DZ won't need to do too much. Got crossfires on most of the ways in, and it's Rice's shotgun to send the round away. DZ get 2 of the 6. I guess that's about as good as you can expect on this map, but 4 attacking rounds on Nighthaven is mighty fine for Soniqs.
Yeah, I mean, if you're DarkZero and you start 0-3, you call your timeout, you want that 2-4. That's the absolute best that you can realistically hope to get, and they do just that. I mean, the final round that we just witnessed was actually DarkZero playing in very close proximity to one another, and they finally got that trade game going. They lose a member, they kill an attacker, etc., but they did so in a positive way as well. One of the downsides of the Blitz is that when you're moving and taking map space and chasing the defenders, you're doing pretty well. When you get to that awkward stall-mate position where Geo has to kind of reload and he's stuck in the hallway, he can't go forward, he can't go backwards, that's where the Blitz seems almost like useless. Where he's just kind of sitting in the corner, watching his teammates die, and he knows he's next. And DarkZero, they were there. From the staircase, from the hallway, establishing that crossfire, and playing close together, but it took them a while to get there. If you're a DarkZero fan, you hope that what they just learned in the previous round is going to carry over to their attack inside, because the way Soniqs were attacking, they were very much playing together. Always duoed up, 2 people, 3 people, drone entering for one another, using verticality. That was Gunner, always quick in the building. DarkZero, they gotta do something similar. The stylistic charge between these two teams is interesting to watch because we always see DC play stuff like the Dokkaebi and the IQ and the Brava, and then we see Soniqs, they go for stuff like the Buck, they play a bit of the Ram, etc., and they focus more on like soft destruction, where DC, as we know, they focus more on intel and counter-intel, which means Soniqs are going to be quicker in the building and quicker at achieving their objectives. DarkZero are gonna do it slower, but arguably in a more solid way, so to speak, because they clear all the steps as they come, whereas Soniqs kind of brute force it more. But DC with the first minute to go, just still doing the 1-2-3s here, opening hatches, finding the valve camps, and joining out the building.
So that first half was just so dominantly in favor of Soniqs. The numbers looking good for them in terms of first picks, in terms of objective play, even operator diversity. You know, some teams, especially on newer maps, might stick to what works for them and roll with the same 5 operators. That becomes especially true when a meta stabilizes, which we are far from here on Nighthaven Labs. It's not even like Consulate, where you've got the bones of an old map, so you can go about some of these bomb sites as if it were the old Consulate. This is just a completely new map for most of these teams. And as the more we play it, the more we're going to see some of that also filtered down to the more casual and competitive audience in rank. Oh, Geo, no! He does a double take on the ace of Gavin, who's just completely stationary. Now it's Gavin to get nearsighted. He fires into Grixer, knowing that the swing will persist. There will be more of him, though, as Citizen ends what was an impressive run from the young player of DarkZero.
Reloading. I mean, just look at how active Soniqs they are. They're roaming out the map, extending out. I mean, they're playing like one guy on the side, if even any at all, and just kind of letting it work with the map because it's such a huge area. And great flank from Geo and Citizen to retake the position. He's in a 1v2 now, above alone.
More damage being done by Soniqs. They're evenly distributing it. The justice going across. Rendering their verdict onto DarkZero. Pambazoo is the last one with the diffuser now. He's got a clutch drone in front of him. What he doesn't have is time. So many of us lack, if you really think about it. We don't need to get deep with only 15 seconds left in the round. Soniqs, both members still at full HP. Pambazoo jumping in. And Rexon gives him a mercy killing. The hope on the faces of DarkZero very quickly draining, as Soniqs now have 5 rounds and are 2 away from being the first North American team to qualify for Atlanta. But more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but impressively, qualify for the 6th Invitational in Brazil as well, joining 3 other teams, W7M, Virtus.pro, and D+.
I almost want to say more importantly though, because like if you ask most players, would you rather qualify for a major or SI? Obviously Soniqs, they'll get both with this victory if they manage to get it. But if you have to choose, right? SI is that special place that every player wants to play on that stage, to lift the hammer, etc. So I don't think you misused the word when you said importantly. I think very much is. To players and fans alike, to casters as well, to us. DarkZero, they really need these rounds. I mean, I almost feel bad for them. Look at their face cams. There's not a lot of life left a lot of happiness at least. It is a frustrating position to be in. They did so well on border. Had a semi-disappointing consulate, but ultimately Soniqs was just a better team on attack, definitely. And now they're just getting run over. And this is the thing, when you go from best of ones to best of threes, you have to kind of pace yourself differently. Both in terms of energy, of course, mentality, and the maps as well will play out slightly different. The play style and small details of the individual maps, your role on the team on these different maps, what operators that are strong, what operators are banned. It's a lot to deal with. DarkZero, they haven't changed that much around. They are bringing Sophia this time, perhaps because they know that Geo is back on this clash. And I love this from Geo, right? If the enemy is struggling at entering the building and getting kills on the board, playing multi-blitz on attack and playing clash in defense, it might just be the most fun to do necessarily by some players' opinion. But oh boy, is it useful, and it's really, really impactful in these rounds.
I mean, Geo likes the safe roles. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you want to put him on Hard Breach. It doesn't surprise me that you'd put him on a Clash. When I say safe roles, I don't mean that in the way of a Clash, because Clash is often not a safe role. You might be the first line of defense, but it's not as potentially mentally taxing as a roamer or an entry if you're playing shields on attack, that is. Over Geo, we'll see what the Clash can accomplish. Our destruction already working as there was some bandit tricking to go in. First kill goes to Panbazoo. So he's living up to the billing on entry, but it's traded out immediately. So he's good enough to take Rexin out of the fight. Normally, that would be excellent because Rexin competes for top frag on the team. But everybody for Soniqs has been showing up in this map. So it's not necessarily as high profile a kill as it could be.
And they don't really get any map control with it either. It's just a pure 1-for-1 trade, and that's it. If you get catwalk control, you get in the building, that's a decent 1-for-1, but they still got the clash to deal with. Gavin has those Sophia stun, but again, the only counter, no grenades, no nothing from DC, so it's going to be near impossible once again to clear out Geo and Clash, just like on Consulate. As long as he's in the fight and in the front lines, Geo can apply so much pressure onto the attacking lineup.
There's Gunner to go down. Rice seemingly settling into his role in this map. Now it's Citizen to swing, losing the duel. DarkZero are good enough to answer back, and if Soniqs take fights in a disadvantageous way, they will get punished for it time and time again. Now it's Geo with the super shorty out. Done for the destructive capability, certainly not for what could come with the SMG. Grixer in great spot! Grixer's got all 3 kills for his team. Now needs to seek shelter as Canadian pulls off the diffuser. He's upright. Gavin is the potential lineup. They see the frost for a second. Grixer's feeling it. He'll need an ace, but Canadian denies him that. As close as you're gonna get. Easy prevailed despite the scare. That would have been series point for Soniqs, but they don't get there yet.
It's gonna come down to the wire. And I want to say, I love the clash in theory. I'm not a great fan of how it's being implemented because everyone's dying around the clash before Geo gets to do anything. And Geo's kind of doubling up on support. He's not playing the automatic secondary weapon. He's playing impact grenades and secondary shotgun. So when Geo has to be forced off the clash shield like we saw because it's 2 versus 4, the shotgun can't really take any gunfights anywhere. So it's really awkward. If the defenders kind of stick back deep in the bomb site, they kind of hide in corners, let the attackers walk into the bomb site, then they get sapped by the clash, they have those crossfires established, that's when it's hard to be an attacker. But if the defenders swing out outside the bomb site into those easy 1v1 angles, that's not all that great. So Grixer, he did the right thing, right? He stalked the corner, he let them walk in, and there are so many options of where he could be. But the rest of the crew, Citizen for example, he just kind of swung the door outside the side and just kind of died. A heroic effort from Grixer and a disc slam to go with it, and a swear word by the looks of it. But I mean, that's the last place you should be mad. Sure, it sucks that you didn't get that beautiful essential 1 versus 5 clutch to send you on to match point, but at the same time, the fact that you got so close down to a 1v1 speaks for itself. Soniqs are very much still in the lead, and will be so for at least 2 more rounds. That's if DC win them back to back. Then they're tied up 5-5 instead. They'll just go through the motions. They can choose all the bomb sets they want. The only one that's locked in for Soniqs currently is that cargo bomb side, because they won the very first defense there.
That was a very quick amount of map control. Canadian sees the Nitro Cell. Down goes Pambazoo to Geo. Things are happening in a hurry. Only 50 seconds into the round, and we've already got action. Geo will now confront the Monty with the follow-up. That could have been a punishing end for Gavin, and the Nitro Cell ensures it is. Grixer gets that one and then immediately teleports away. Now it's Canadian upstairs with no escort on the Monty, clearing by himself. There's no insurance policy. He'll have to go to insurance up on, or he'll have to go on to drone up in rafters as they plot their next steps to tackle this basement bomb site.
But it's awkward, right? Because you lost the only soft destruction. Ash brought the soft briefing charges, and of course that's a primary gadget, and Buck has a skeleton key. You lost both of them. So why do you roam clear in this bomb site of basement? Well, to get vertical control, destroy the floor. But the people who died on the roam are those exact players, so now you gain nothing. Gunfight goes in favor of NJR. It's good. Poor Gunner, missing out on that situation. But DC still have no real way to deal with the bomb site outside of just simply walking down the staircase or dropping down the hatch. NJR has 1 point of health. Canadians playing Monty, not the most, lethal operator in the game. So a lot of this relies on Ryze's capabilities right now to find those skills and play off his teammates.
Canadian taking a lot of damage as there goes the can opener. He'll walk down the stairs, getting ever closer to this Exo bomb site. Monty will be the focal point for SQ. NJR will likely have to jostle around that diffuser given his HP, and Canadian isn't really that much better off. At that point, what do? Citizen's got 2 more gas canisters, 30 seconds left. That's going to be punishing, and all of DZ is stacked up. A single gas canister is going to kill 2 of these players. NJR and Canadian will be gone. There's Grixer to find the pick on his own. Rice narrowed down now too, and Canadian walks in. Another huge round from Grixer. The delayed reaction. Soniqs, though, moving to series point.
1 round away from the major, as well as locking a spot for invitationals in Brazil. But 1 round, when you're this close, it's also when the pressure is at its highest, when mistakes can happen. You might stop making those hero plays and seeking those engagements. I want to see Soniqs play as this was just another round. Keep up that aggression. Keep shutting out DarkZero from entering the building, get to that bomb site. Keep up that extended roam setup and fight them on the entries. Give DarkZero too much space, give them some hope, and give them a comeback into the round count. All of a sudden, you look at it overtime. You gotta lock it out right here. They got 2 bombs to choose between. You got Cargo, and they got Kitchen. Kitchen being the least played bomb site, I believe, across most, if not all, regions so far. But of course, some teams tend to play it. Soniqs, not yet. They've gone Cargo into top floor CC, downstairs to basement, and now back to Cargo as well. Last time they were here, they were all over the place. They're in the basement, they're up top floor, and they're just looking to extend out as much as possible because they know they can hold the majority of the site from above with that verticality, and that's why they're playing double bulletproof camera as well as Valkyrie. Spawn peek on that point, that's Bolt Gunner. Doesn't find it though.
This is not the end that DarkZero envisioned, especially after all the work went in back in map number 1 to win Border with an impressive 7-4 scoreline. But SQ is a team that you can just never count out. Even if they let their emotions get the best of them time and time again, they have been completely settled into this match. And it's always hard to tell, right? As we get the chicken and the egg situation where what comes first, the tilt or the losing for Soniqs? If they're winning and playing well, then it stands to reason that they're not going to tilt. But then they start to lose. Are they losing because they're tilting? Do they start to tilt more because they're losing and then lose more and more and more? Not that DZ are a team that's immune to the mental games, and maybe it is a bit uncharitable that Soniqs' mental game is often under the microscope as much as it is. But it is very visible with SQ, whereas with some of the other teams like M80 and DZ, where things might start to go bad and maybe their mental deteriorates, it's not shown on their faces, and it doesn't seem to show in the server. But a good mental is one of the reasons why Soniqs are where they are, and they are potentially 90 seconds away from being the first NA team to claim a berth, not just at the Atlanta Major, but also the 6th Invitational.
Loading you,
When you're on the attacking side here, down on match point, you gotta make all the first move, all the problem solving, drone every corner, but also you're working against the clock. You don't have infinite amount of time. And there will be moments in professional play where you look up and you go, oh snap, boys, we got a minute left, we gotta go now. And you start speeding up a little bit too much. We see the first point of contact upstairs right now. It's DC trying to roam clear, but Soniqs, they're well prepared and they got the insult because of Finra Mine giving it away.
Gunner prone ready, Gavin engaging with Geo. They both take a little bit of damage, but ultimately, it's the defenders who walk away in worse shape. Grixer on the board first, Rice trying his best. This has gone bad for DarkZero in a hurry, but wait a moment. There's the cavalry. Gavin's the last one alive. Cavalry falling short. The trap set by Soniqs at this point. What can Gavin accomplish? Nothing! Gunner seals the deal to Atlanta. The Soniqs go. The first team to represent North America at our next major on home soil is the team in teal on your screen.
Yep, major bound as well as SI, and a team that some people counted out. They showed up when it mattered the most. Look at that, Grixer, he'll be celebrating. He's kept us entertained, and he had an incredible performance with the rest of his team throughout this entire Best of 3 series.
Impressive stuff by the Soniqs. They honestly were the team to beat time and time again. They recovered after border and they take it 2-1. We got a desk though, eager to break it down. I imagine they'll be standing just as Grixer is right now. Let's toss it to them.